A secret he'll take to the grave. When this guy was a kid, his school had this huge field day event that they did every single year. Basically, on this day, students were free to roam around the school, there were games, prizes, it was incredible. Everyone looked forward to it. But one year, everything changed. On field day, he was grabbing some lunch in the cafeteria. He was messing around with a friend when they saw a little basket of butter packets. He picked it up, put it on the floor, and stepped on it. Well, when he stepped on it, the packet popped and the butter shot across the lunchroom like a rocket, sliding on the floor. Dude, that was sick. Let's do it again. They kept stepping on these butter packets one after another, launching the butter across the floor and giggling to themselves. Hee hee hee, this is so fun. Right? Well, apparently all this butter had accumulated some feet in front of them in this kind of butter pile. And a teacher who was carrying a tray ended up walking right over it. I love field day. This is a great day. He crashed down hard and his tray of food went everywhere. Another teacher ran over. Oh my God, are you okay? No, I'm not okay. He was not okay. Something was seriously wrong. An ambulance was called and he was shipped out. Well, apparently this teacher was injured really badly. It was serious. Field day was shut down then and there. And the next day, the principal got on the intercom. Attention students! Due to an unfortunate incident, field day will be canceled indefinitely. We are launching an investigation into the events of yesterday's lunch. And that's when it hit him. Because of their stupid butter pack launching lunchtime, field day was canceled. What does that mean for next year? Well, I'll tell you what it means. There wasn't a field day next year. Or the year after that. He was never caught for what he did. And I guess the cameras in the lunchroom didn't pick up on this at all. This is nuts. So one day, this kid slapped another student with a ruler. Hey, Billy. Everybody laughs. Even he did. Nobody gets in trouble. Well, for some reason, witnessing this kid slap another kid with a ruler ignited something in them. Because the next day, tons of kids came to school with their own rulers. Of all different kinds. Wood ones, metal ones, plastic ones. And just like that, the hallways turn into medieval combat zones. My turn! Mr. Kevin, no! Milk. School staff started confiscating rulers from everybody, but there was so many kids with rulers, it was very hard to do so. And just like that, another ban. The school banned rulers. If anybody was caught with a ruler, it was taken and they would get a detention. If they were caught 3 times with a ruler, they would get suspended. Now you might be asking, hey, Elliot, what about the classes where rulers are required, like geometry or something? Well, those teachers would pass the rulers out at the beginning of class and collect them at the end. But still, these kids must have been obsessed with rulers, because that sounds crazy. So this girl, Amy, she's 15, straight up running a business at her school. Like it's a full-on operation. She buys the snacks and drinks in bulk. She breaks them up and sells them individually at a markup. Classic black market school economy. She's been doing this for 2 years now, and she's not out here just hoarding the cash that she makes. She's buying stuff. She's using her profits to buy clothes, shoes, whatever she wants. She doesn't ask her parents for money, she earns it. And her mom, well, her mom is like, I mean, yeah, why would I stop her? You know, she's not selling anything illegal, her grades are fine, and I haven't had to buy her anything in months. I'm really proud of her. But the school? Oh no. They catch her and a few other snack dealers and boom, week of detentions. And they warn her, one more time and you're suspended. Please, okay. Now the dad's losing his mind. No, honey, this is serious, okay? She's risking her education. She needs to be grounded. And the mom's like, grounded for what? Capitalism? Like, for real, what are we doing here, you guys? You know, she's not disrupting class. She's not failing. In fact, she's doing better than she has before. She's not pushing anything shady. She's just really good at business. The mom says this. The school's obviously making something out of nothing. It's not like she's slinging crank behind the vending machines. And honestly, I get it. I understand, like, rules are rules, but let's be real here. Half these schools don't teach the kids anything useful anyways. Good for her. For respecting her own hustle. And if that was my school, I'd be asking for her supply chain. Big ups to Amy. Dumb reasons people got in trouble at school. It was grade school and it was the end of the day. This kid got on his bus, but the bus driver had to wait a few minutes to leave because there were still some students making their way to the bus. So the bus driver suggested they sing a song. All right, students, we're going to be heading out here soon, but while we wait, let's do a little sing-along, okay? Let's sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. That's when this one kid said this. Twinkle Twinkle Little Star sucks. What did you say to me? Twinkle, twinkle, little star sucks. That's it. The driver then went back to where this kid was sitting and dragged him off the bus and pulled him by the arm to the principal's office. Come on, come on. The heck? Yeah, Miss Henley, this kid threatened me. You should give him a detention. Make him stay. I did not. Sit down. I'm calling your parents. His parents were then called and they were forced to pick him up. They raised this issue to the school superintendent. He then checked the footage of the bus, and they obviously saw that this kid didn't do anything that bad. In fact, the bus driver shouldn't have grabbed him like that. He was fired. It's frozen. Run! So this one school had a tradition. In 8th grade, during the last week of school, there was a day called Water Balloon Day. It was unofficial, unsanctioned. Everyone knew it happens right after lunch in the courtyard. What started as a couple kids tossing water balloons around turned into a full-blown event. And every year it got a little bigger. But this one class took it way too far. They planned for weeks, mapped out the courtyard, found the nooks and the crannies. They assigned roles, runners, refillers, and spotters. Kids were wearing goggles and rain ponchos like they were going to war. And the wild part was these weren't just simple water balloons. People were freezing them the night before. Others were filling water balloons with Kool-Aid to give them themed and color ammo. By the time lunch ended, it was full-blown chaos. Teachers tried to shut it down, but they were getting hit too. Hey, stop! That's when the principal stormed out with the megaphone. Everyone drop the balloons now! Students were drenched. They were running to avoid getting in trouble. The next day, an announcement was made. Attention students, all balloon activity from here on out is permanently banned. Any students participating in any future water balloon fights or things of the such will be expelled. But for that 8th grade class, especially those who avoided getting in trouble, they said it was a day that they'll never forget. And it is a legend around that school. That's epic. This kid shows up the second period and says, "Hey, what's up, guys? There was a deer stalking me in the parking lot." "Oh, what?" "Yeah, I was walking into the building and I look over and this deer is just looking at me from behind a tree. I walk a little farther and there he is at a different tree, still staring at me." So of course, everybody starts making fun of this kid. They're calling him Deer Boy this entire class, and he's like, "Guys, this is so dumb. I saw a deer." Whatever. Third period starts, and all of a sudden, throughout the entire hall, you hear a giant crash. Guess what it was? A deer literally jumped through one of the classroom windows. Not like near the window, like through it. What was that? What happened? A freaking deer jumped through the classroom window. It's still in the room. Oh my god, he's coming for me. It was an absolutely absurd moment. Nobody knows what to do because this deer's kind of freaking out in this classroom. They don't know what to do with it. Well, this one teacher shows up, Mr. Redding. And apparently, Mr. Redding has had a lot of experience with deer. He somehow went in there, calmed it down, and walked it out of the school. "How'd you do that, Mr. Redding?" "Well, I had a pet deer once, and he was my best friend." And after that, everybody stopped calling this kid Deer Boy because obviously there was a deer near the school and it jumped through the window. I wonder if it was coming for him. That's kind of freaky. B minus? That's just a B in a tuxedo. Oh, what? So this kid turns in an essay. He gets it back a few days later. A minus. Solid, clean grade. He's feeling good until he gets in the car and shows his mom. Why is it not an A plus? I don't know. It's still an A. An A minus is just a fancy B. You're rewriting it. So that night, he rewrites the entire thing. Adds more quotes, changes the intro, tightens everything up. Next day, he turns it in again. The teacher's confused, but she said she'll take a look at it. 2 days later, the same result. Still an A minus. He shows his mom. "You are doing it again." "You're joking, right?" "Not until you get 100. Fix your tone, fix your grammar, and fix your mindset." He rewrites it again, turns it in. This is the third version. And the teacher pulls him aside. "Hey, why do you keep resubmitting this? Your paper was excellent." "I know. I'm just trying to survive, ma'am." She gives him the exact same grade, A minus again. He turns it into his mom. She just sighs and says, "I give up. You must have done something wrong." And that's the day he learned. Sometimes it's not about the grade. It's about your mom's permanent disappointment. Poor kid. Every day this kid would come home with bruises and cuts, and his mom would always ask, "Oh my god, sweetie, what happened to you?" "Oh, just football, Mom. It's rough." But here's the truth. It wasn't from football. After school, there was this fight club that was in somebody's garage who lived near the school. It wasn't just like 1 or 2 kids. It was like 30 of them. They would gather at this guy's garage, they would circle up, and they would throw down. And here's the thing. The guy that hosted this, his parents worked late, so they were never home after school. "All right, gather in. Round 1. Martouche, and Kenny. You ready? Let's rock, Salmon Man. And they weren't going easy on each other either. It was insane. There was split lips, busted teeth, and what's the rule of Fight Club? You know it. Nobody talked about it outside of this circle. So every night this kid would walk back in his house, beat up, bloody, and he would say the same thing. Football practice, Mom. It was rough, but it was never football. That's insane. One day, this kid bought a bunch of clear iPhone cases for cheap, and he had this friend who was good with graphic design. So what he would do is he would have his friend make this cool design of whatever he wanted. His friend would then print it and cut it down so it would fit perfectly inside this phone case. And it looked awesome. Clear phone case, this graphic design insert, it was legit. Custom fit, looked expensive. He did it to his phone case first. It was an anime design and it looked awesome. People saw this and they were immediately intrigued. Well, interest grew. And soon, he was taking orders for people. NBA, anime, SpongeBob, Shrek. He was making these custom phone cases and selling them. Then he starts bundling them together. 3 phone cases for $10. 6 for $15. And business was absolutely booming. He kept buying these clear phone cases. His friend kept designing these designs and custom cutting them to fit the cases. And people were buying them. They were all over the school. The thing was, his friend that was designing these and printing them was using the school's printers. The IT guy realized how much printing had been done, and he told the principal. And this whole thing had to be shut down. But by then, he had made $530. And those phone cases became collectibles. Some students even reselling them for 3 times the price they bought them for. Honestly, you gotta respect the hustle. This is so freaking cool. So it was fall, and a couple kids, they decide to make a backyard carnival. Obviously, it was nothing official. Just some old toys, a plastic table, and whatever junk they could find. One kid stacked some soup cans on a chair. Knock them down, you win a prize. The other kid taped a bucket to the fence. 3 throws for 1 quarter. But then they got creative. Somebody dragged over a busted wagon and tied it to a bike. And suddenly it was a roller coaster. You ready, bro? Get in. I'm in, man. Let's go. All right. This is awesome. Another kid tied a tire to a tree branch, and there you had it, a swing. They did it just for them at first, like a fun way to spend the afternoon. But then kids from the block started to show up. Yo, what is this? It's a carnival, bro. Come on. By the end of the day, the entire backyard was packed, and a ton of kids from the neighborhood were bringing their own stuff over. It was insane. Candy, prizes, homemade rides. Parents were even showing up, like, what the heck is happening back here? But they loved it. They thought it was super creative. It wasn't professional. It wasn't safe. But for that one day, that backyard was a freaking carnival, baby, and that's awesome.